So a few weeks ago, I was perusing through Grindr, as I'm known to do, and I'm checking my messages, and I got a message from somebody who recognized me from TikTok. They were visiting Santa Barbara from Seattle. They were just here for vacation, and they asked me, like, is this really you? Are you just impersonating Tommy? Like, what's going on? I said, yes, this is actually me, and I ended up proving it to him by, like, sending him a picture of myself holding up 3 fingers. So then he finally believed that it was me. And I asked him to send me a few pictures of him, and he sent me some pictures that were quite exciting. Let's just leave it at that. So I sent him some back, and then he asked me if I wanted to meet up, and I was like, yeah, like, let's do it. And then he asked me, like, what are some fun things to do in this town? So I told him about the beaches I like to go to, like the clothing optional beach. I told him about the hikes I like to go on, like ones with waterfalls and flowing water. And he seemed a little bit nervous about the beach, but he kept asking me more about the hike. So I was like, do you want to just go on one together? Like, I'll take you on my favorite hike. And he said yes. So the next day we met up at my house. We drove to my favorite hiking spot and we started walking up the trail. This guy was actually really nice. Like, he was really cute too, but he was such a sweetheart. Like, he had a lot to talk about with me. Like, it was really easy to make conversation with him. And like I said, he was easy on the eyes. So I was kind of like instantly motivated to see how far I could take things. So we're driving over to the hiking trail and I'm already like putting my hand on his thigh. I'm getting a little touchy with him. I'm trying to make it obvious that like I'm definitely interested in having some fun. And he definitely took the hint. I mean, he was putting his hand right back on my thigh. We were getting pretty touchy-feely. I mean, he was like really like rubbing my leg and stuff, which felt amazing, but also was like getting me going. So I was stoked. I was like, all right, cool. This is definitely going to lead somewhere. Let's see where. So we get to this hiking trail, which I know has water still flowing at it from the last rains. But the cool thing about this place is if you go up like even further than where most people go, like a lot of locals don't even know this, but if you go up around this kind of like huge rock, you get up to these upper pools, which are flowing year round because they run off a spring. So once we got back up there was even more water flowing. I mean, you could jump off rocks, you could slide down like natural rock water slides, and there was nobody there. So we're getting ready to go in the water and go swimming, and I suggested that we just go skinny dipping. Like, there's nobody around. Why bother putting suits on, right? Now, I don't think this guy had gone skinny dipping before. I'm not really sure, but he seemed pretty nervous about that. And I was like, dude, like, again, there's nobody that comes up here. Like, we're totally good. And even if somebody does come, we'll be able to see them hiking up the creek bed for like a ways away. Like, it's not risky. We're chilling. So he basically was like, okay, I trust you. Let's do it. So we start taking our clothes off and I take off all of mine first, like everything. And he's still like working on his shirt. I think he was purposely going a little slow. Like, he didn't want to be the first one in the water type of thing. So I jump right in and I'm like, come on, let's go. And I'm like standing there watching him as he takes everything off. And oh my God, that guy, his body was insane. His tush was like perfect. Everything was beautiful. As soon as he gets everything off, he's like kind of laughing. He's covering himself up and he comes and jumps in the water with me. So now we're both just swimming around with nothing on, and he's commenting about how beautiful it is here and like how amazing it is to like be swimming in like total privacy with just me with nothing on. And I'm talking about how good it feels just to go skinny dipping. Like, I love the feeling of swimming with no clothes on. I think it's just like, once you're used to that, swimming with a bathing suit on just sucks. I also started commenting on like how beautiful I thought he was. And I go swim over to him and I'm telling him how beautiful I think he is. And then I just lean in and start kissing him. He starts kissing me back. And then he kind of like puts his arms around my neck and like puts his legs around me and kind of like jumps up so that I'm like holding him. So he is like pressed right up against me as we're making out, which made me go to like full attention real quick, which I could tell he definitely noticed because he's basically using it as like a tripod to sit on and like keep himself lifted up on me, which I did not mind at all. And he definitely liked that because he ended up going to full attention right then and there too. I mean, this is exactly what I was hoping would happen. So we're both still in the water for a while. We're making out. We're grabbing things on each other. And then after a little bit, I was like, okay, like, let's get out of the water so that we can have more fun. So we hop out, we dry off. We're kind of like checking each other out as we're drying off. And like, you know, everything is still at full attention. And Thank God I am smart enough now to plan ahead when these types of things happen. So I brought some like supplies with me, slippery stuff, extra towels. And I go set up these towels like on this kind of like slightly slanted rock face and sit down on the towels. And I'm like, all right, like come over here. So he comes over, he climbs on top of me, we start making out again, right? And I probably can't go into like too many more details on TikTok without violating guidelines, but let's just say that slippery stuff came in handy. He really went for a ride. And dear God, did this man know what he was doing? Like, it was amazing. Like in nature, kind of like a little bit of that risky factor going on. It felt so freaking good. So we were doing that for a while, and after, I don't know, 20 or 30 minutes, we both kind of finished the job. And then we just laid there on these towels that we had spread out. Like I had my arm here, he was laying in my arm with his head rested against my chest, and we just were like chatting and cuddling out in nature with no one around us, with nothing on. Definitely the best hike I've been on in months, maybe years. After that, we finally started hiking back down. We made it back to where the other like regular people and tourists were, and then we made it back to the car. Unfortunately, he was leaving Santa Barbara the next day, so we didn't get to meet up again, but we did swap Instagrams. We're staying in touch. He says he's going to come visit again soon, so fingers crossed I'll have more stories about him soon, and hit follow if you want to hear about those, or just other stories in general. I tell a million of them.